got an enemy. You've got an enemy. You better have 9 lives because we have 8 nights. Yes, you've got an enemy.
I'm gonna come right out and say it that Pixar is probably one of, if not my favorite animation studio out there. It may look like I've been bashing them throughout these couple of months, but really I slander because I care. I want to see the studio go above and beyond with every creation they come up with. Pixar has long been revered for its ability to weave compelling narratives and evoke profound emotions, heck, even making 2 movies about said emotions. So clearly I have a lot of respect for them, but it's hard to get excited for anything the studio has been cooking up recently. With recent box office bombs like Lightyear, to how Disney has been putting some Pixar films like Luca and Turning Red exclusively to their streaming service. And honestly, I don't know anyone who is at least somewhat hyped for Elio. They just keep changing the plot for that film in every trailer, and it seems more exhausting to get any enjoyment out of it. But look, Pixar isn't really dead per se. I mean, their latest hit, Inside Out 2, smashed box office records, keeping them afloat to make more films. But really, I've been craving some more short films too. I know that they've been doing their shorts on Disney Plus with the whole Popcorn series and the Forky episodes, but I want those theatrical releases, you know, the ones that play just before the actual movie. Like I said, Pixar's feature films craft so many compelling stories with groundbreaking animation, but that also gets with their captivating short films. The miniature masterpieces that the studio has been doing for over 40 years now, geez, have served as a testament to the studio's innovative spirit and storytelling prowess. Ranging from the ever-iconic mascot Luxo Jr. to recent successes like Bao, these shorts offer diversity and tapestry in unique art styles, thematic explorations, and emotional resonance. And this whole video is going to be dedicated to look back and rank these cinematic gems, along with a few others that may not have gotten that big screen treatment. Now, of course, not every short is going to be included. I guess you could say that title is clickbait then. All 20 theatrical shorts are included, as well as some of the shorts directed from DVD releases too, as long as they're completely animated. So certain shorts like this Finding Nemo documentary exploring the reef, or the 60s style parody Mr. Incredible and Pals will not be included. That also means any short that revolves around a series, like the cartoons or Toy Story shorts, that will not be included. I like how Pixar states that these 30-minute specials from Toy Story count as a short, but I can see right through your disguise, Pixar. Humph. That also means that any Spark shorts will not be included. Who knows, I might do a separate ranking for those shorts in the future. So, that leaves with 36 shorts that we will be ranking. That may seem like a lot, but since these are shorts, most of my commentary will be brief, unless I really have something to say. So let's take a look at each short's technical achievement with their depth, emotional weight, and pure brilliance of what makes Pixar so great and holds a special place to many viewers.
Ach, lang me your lumrieke me a moose nearly you're gurning away a teardrop in his eye. Hey, she back wee lassie!
So, with the inclusion of some of the direct-to-video shorts Pixar has made, it was made clear what would end up in dead last for me. Show of hands, whose favorite Pixar movie is Brave? Oh, no one? Do you remember the villain of that movie? Oh, still no one, huh? Well, it looks like you're totally going to be disinterested in the short, because it's all about everyone's favorite evil bear that showed up like the last 10 minutes of the film. But hey, we definitely need this guy's backstory, right? Look, the traditional animation is a nice change of pace for other usual Pixar shorts, but these are more stills if anything. This could have been a good opening for Brave in general, but I guess the writers admitted that after realizing Mordu wasn't going to be a huge threat. Basically, this guy started being a Karen after realizing he has to share his dad's inheritance with his other siblings, turning the brothers against each other and started a war among the kingdom. Then he goes to the witch to make sure he has a winning chance and ends up turning into the bear because of his wounded soul, and just accepts this new transformation and ends up killing his brothers. This could have been a great attachment to Brave, showing how bloodlust Mordu really is. Too bad they made it the most boring way imaginable. Nothing really stood out to keep this entertaining, from the limited animation, to the dull narrative of the witch, to the unnecessary cameo from this weakling. I was just uninterested throughout this whole short.
Please let this be a normal field trip with a friend? No way!
I completely forgot about Miss Fritter as a character in the Cars franchise. But then again, can you blame me? Was there anything memorable about Miss Fritter? Well, I mean, I like the somewhat reference to her being a school bus and probably also named by Miss Frizzle. But other than that, this 2-minute short has no laughs. It felt like an afterthought to squeeze in more content for merchandise.
So, I took my mechanic's advice and enrolled in Miss Fritter's racing school. And now, I'm as relaxed as a VW van.
Bro, why did you go to the demolition derby for relaxation? That makes no sense.
You weird. Buddy?
Plus, the female character from Cars 3 doesn't even talk, and is really just there to see her trophy break.
Maybe that wasn't such a safe place after all.
Hope they're paying you good, Owen Wilson.
I was lost, driving day after day on an endless road to nowhere. Then you already put me in a home. Then we'll put you in a crooked home we saw in 60 minutes. I'll be good.
This one almost landed at the bottom, with its limited storyboard-style animation to its rather bizarre story premise. I mean, were you curious about the events of George and AJ after Carl's house blew away? Probably not. And it doesn't help that most of the short just shows these two's expressionless, shocked faces for a supposed funny gag. But then the actual good stuff comes from these senior citizens around town, cheering on Carl's escape and eventually making their own contraptions to escape the Shady Oaks nurses. Heck, the Shady Oaks building decides to make a run for it. Then, Carl comes back driving an airship with a very unconvincing Russell.
That was so cool! Let's do that again, Mr. Fredrickson.
That man's an imposter.
I do like the idea of seeing the elderly take a stand from being sent to a retirement home, but I think the limited animation really holds it back from making it worthwhile. And it looked like Pixar tried replacing it with another short from Up for the DVD release, which we will get to pretty soon. Oh boy, it's Pixar's first ever short film. I can't wait to see what whimsical and interesting story awaits us.
This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life! Ugh! Get it away from me, man!
Okay, all jokes aside, for being Pixar's first short back in 1984, it looks pretty good for its time. I mean, it's very dated now, but back then, whew boy, was this groundbreaking. Not too special in the story department though. Really, we just see this Donald Duck sounding character named Andre waking up in a forest until this bee comes along and tries to sting him, with Andre escaping and end up getting stunned in the end. I mean, you gotta start somewhere. I will note that John Lasseter really gave it his all into making this more than just a geometrical project, and actually pushed the envelope into making Andre and Wally B more manipulatable given the squash and stretch style for more simple shapes. And the end product is still something to behold, even if technology would advance later down the road. Still though, with such a very small premise and little runtime, I can't really give it much higher than this. Think of this as a good participation award.
I got a ton of work done today. A skeleton.
You know, Dante and our previous entry Andre has something in common, since both are under 2 minutes long. But, unlike Andre, Dante's Lunch has a lot more slapstick in its runtime.
Well, now I've seen everything.
Our favorite dog breed, which I'm not going to pronounce, look at that name, gets hungry until he finds a lifelike bone rattling around, and Dante chases after it while wacky hijinks ensues. Again, with a very small runtime, there's only so much they can do to keep it a few spots above, but they definitely deliver in its physical comedy. Also, this is probably the first time Pixar has ever done a short come before its actual movie came out in theaters, pretty much making its free promo. Not bad for a hairless dog.
Hey, everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so...
Yeah, that's what's up.
I'm gonna throw in my 2 cents here and say that Monsters University is a vastly underrated Pixar movie. And heck, just to ruffle some more feathers, it's better than Monsters Inc.
You serious?
Okay, now that a couple of people have disliked the video, let's talk about this companion short, Party Central. Wow, really original title, fellas. After Mike and Sully get kicked out of the university, they visit Uzma for their first party, with only them showing up. Luckily, Mike and Sully steal supplies and guests from Roar Omega Roar using the door stations. While that is just a simple story, it's the visual gags that make it worthwhile. I like how each run revolves around this bedroom between this couple to where they get frustrated.
There's nothing in our closet.
Squishy's mom just being a lovable party animal, and the whole party actually take pledge into Uzma fraternity is actually quite wholesome. Yeah, it's a pretty decent short that doesn't have emotional depth or a powerful message. It's just a fun, easygoing 6 minutes of good vibes.
Hey, are you okay over there? I can smell you.
The real Up feature that was a direct-to-DVD release, Doug's special mission takes place just minutes before the lovable canine meets Carl and Russell. Pack leader Alpha and the gang try to think of ways to get rid of Doug, with all of them giving the pack more trouble than needed. There are some scenes that feel a little tedious from time to time, especially with Alpha's plan to get rid of Doug, which is funny because Doug doesn't really do anything but obey. The events just happen naturally. In the end, Doug gets scolded by Alpha and contacts Muntz about Doug, leading the sad dog to Carl and Russell. Oh, and it's his birthday. Yay.
congratulations.
I don't know, this should be a lot lower, but Doug is a very enjoyable sidekick, that the jokes revolving around him are pretty serviceable and match his character well.
If you got heartburn, I'll tell you what, you need to get Prilosec.
Okay, I said no cartoons, but this Mater short does count because of my DVD feature eligibility. So all you Mater fans can finally rejoice, you sick freakos.
You're gonna stand here in front of cameras and say that you love Mater? Go ahead. Oh my god.
Mater is really like a required taste for some. I can understand the appeal, but I don't think he needed a whole movie for himself. That being said, for all the Mater's tall tales that this tow truck has had, if you want to also include this one into the mix, it's easily the best one. It's still like a 6 out of 10, but it's better than nothing. Mater has been playing tricks on his friends when Radiator springs, so the game decided to tell the story about the ghost light in order to scare Mater, with Guido and Luigi putting a lantern on Mater's cable, pretending to be the Fable. When Mater gets tired, the gang laugh at him for their revenge, then joke about how the only real threat is the screaming banshee, which actually is a real thing. It's funny how Mater teases Lightning McQueen about the ghost light before actually getting scared after hearing Doc's story. Like, bro, you were just teasing Lightning about it, you shouldn't be scared. I think the best scene is the post-credits with the actual screaming banshee showing up, and Mater being oblivious about him telling to watch out. It definitely subverts his expectations. I don't know, I can take it or leave it.
Oh my god, she's beautiful.
Here come that bullshit, what up? Here come that bullshit, what up?
You wanna cry over a unicycle? Well, do I have the short for you, buddy? Following the releases of Andre and Luxo Jr., Red's Dream is the first fully character-driven story Pixar has ever worked on. With a combination of 3 ideas from employees who wanted to make their own shorts, the 3 agreed to stitch their ideas into one creation, thus bringing us Red's Dream. Rendered with complex imagery, we follow this unicycle in a bike shop that's on clearance, probably due to it being a unicycle at a bike shop. The unicycle dreams of being in a circus act and dreams of said sequence. Aw, that's a pretty adorable dream you got there, Red. Oh my goodness, what is that? Okay, so creepy 80s clown aside, Red the unicycle is a cute little inanimate object you want to root for, which makes it more depressing when you see it step out of its dream and sulk in its corner. One thing that I truly admire about this short is the opening. Gosh, that rain is perfection. The really dark setting outside the bike shop transitioning to the inside with that noir music with the still bikes. Mwah. Now this whole section took about more than 5 days just to animate for like 12 seconds, according to Lasseter, which meant that the Dream Circus sequence had its frames cut for budget purposes. And even though that clown looks dated as heck, this short was praised by Walt Disney's original 9 animators, who at first thought computer animation would do nothing for the medium. But I guess a little red unicycle can change that for the mouse's 9 old men, and the rest was history. One of the more divisive shorts on this list, you either love Lava to death or downright despise it. And I guess since we're only 10 slots into this ranking, I guess I'm a little more underwhelmed by it. Boo! One thing to praise, the animation. Pixar still knows how to red things up with the visuals, and they're stunning. And they still like to draw in their inanimate objects with goofy little faces, this time being a volcano. Everything looks all fine and dandy. And then the volcano opens his mouth.
I have a dream I hope will come true.
Being the first ever Pixar short that's only in song form, Lava to me feels nothing like a Pixar film, and yet still does at the same time. Which is weird, but if you watch this feature, you'll know what I mean. I think I've grown on this one the more I see it, but the song still feels like a fever dream to me, and the short just feels out of place compared to the rest of Pixar's catalog. So basically, this volcano sings a song about loneliness and wanting a mate to live for the rest of his life. Well, join the club, bub.
This isn't Camp Nappy Packy Wacky League.
Now the volcano just sinks in the ocean due to depression, and then this female volcano emerges and starts singing the volcano song, giving the male volcano a huge boner that shoots him out of the water ready to simp all over this girl. Did this make me cry? Heck no. Look, if the inspiration behind it was the director's honeymoon in Hawaii with his wife, then I guess I can't hate on someone who just loves his wife. You know who else really loved his wife? Chance the Rapper. And look where that got him.
Oh, I love my wife. I love my wife. Ah!
Damn, that's an ugly baby. Damn, that's an ugly ass baby.
2 things. 1, that baby. If you thought the clown from Red's Dream was terrifying, he doesn't hold a candle to this monstrosity. And 2, we owe Tin Toy a lot of gratitude in giving us Toy Story and Pixar's possible future for ends to come. A risky investment, Tin Toy saw the light of day from our Lord and Savior Steve Jobs, who kept Pixar afloat from financial struggles. Tinny, our one-man band toy, is in a dead living room until Benjamin Button over here comes crawling from the gates of hell, playing destructively with his toys, scaring poor Tinny. After hiding under the couch with all these Pixar model rejects, he hears the baby crying because he fell down. The scream gives Rancor a run for his money. Feeling sorry, Tinny decides to come out from under the couch and plays his instruments to cheer him up, and, after a good shake, gets jealous over his packaging that the baby has taken a liking to. The first ever Pixar short to win an Oscar, this one also falls under the same category as Lava, as there's a lot of discourse around the reception of Tin Toy. The animation of Tinny is stellar, down to every movement he makes. That baby though, Look, this was a rough time for Pixar. The financial constraints that they were facing, and the software not cooperating with making the baby more realistic, instead making him an uncanny valley-like abomination with skin made of plastic and a diaper full of cement. Still though, Tin Toy does hold a special place in Pixar's history, and this concept would later help the creation of the Toy Story franchise. Hey, Tinny even got a cameo in the 4th installment.
Hi, Tinny. Aw, nice to see you too.
No, Squidward, I meant good for your soul.
Prior to the events of the movie Soul, 22 recruits a bunch of new souls to dissuade others from going to Earth to find a purpose.
We shall be known as the Apocalypse.
Wow, that name actually checks out.
If you guys can't connect the dots.
Unfortunately for 22, these souls all find their inspirations when creating chaos, and end up going to Earth anyway. This leads 22 to resent Earth even more and vowing to never take her life. This story is perfect for 22, with her cynical attitude and dim view on life. It's also a little heartening to see her souls that she calls her friends get called upon to enter Earth. It's a nice little reminder into why 22 feels so lonely and hates Earth so much. Also, the comments between the Jerrys about the meaning of life and how disappointing the actual outcome is pretty hilarious.
Come to think of it, what is the meaning of life?
You don't know?
Nobody told me.
Oh, it's simple really. We're all here for the purpose of...
Oh no! Giant flying sheep!
I give props to Pixar for showing a good backstory of Bo Peep after the events of Toy Story 2 and before Toy Story 4. After being donated to a new owner, we see the life of Bo going through the struggles of being more of an antique than being a toy, not to mention with the roughhousing of these kids. Ultimately, she ends up in the antique shop where Gabby Gabby resides, and escapes after getting the chance of being a lost toy for kids at a playground. So, she blows up the joint with... Giggles? Wait, was she also in the antique shop too? She's an antique? Whatever, weird plot hole aside, it's nice seeing Bo Peep get more character and shows how much of a fierce toy she is.
You look like a busted can of biscuits.
Gonna be honest, not a huge fan of Jack Jack as a whole. He's fine as is, but man did he get a lot of screen time in the second installment of The Incredibles, pretty much catering to the fans of said baby. That being said, this spin-off feature is a joy. Originally supposed to be a scene in the first movie, it was ultimately cut in the form of a short, which was the right call. Babysitter Kari takes care of Jack Jack until the infant starts developing his superpowers, ranging from laser vision to teleportation to turning into a living, breathing ball of fire. Kari does all she can to maintain sanity until Syndrome comes with probably the best line in the whole short.
Originally I was going to have initials for babysitter, but then I would have been going around wearing a big BS, and you understand why I couldn't go with that.
This ends when Kari gets pulled into an interrogation room where she gets brainwashed. Jack Jack has an insane amount of powers, often going more overboard in the sequel, but these are definitely a treat to watch for a 4-minute runtime. It has the charm and humor for the little infant and is well worth the watch. And yet, the sequel to the short might be a little better.
Yes, you are a tiny god.
Basically, Jack Jack attack, but swap Kari with Edna, which is a way better pairing. I mean, Edna is a fashion icon for superheroes. It's gonna check out. It may have the same premise as the previous, but you get a lot more powers from Jack Jack and some sly remarks from Edna too. Not too much to say, I just think this is a better version to watch. Probably the longest short from Pixar, being 11 minutes, Remy and Emil give a lesson on how we should be more friendly to rats. Yeah, no, I see what rats can do. That's not happening, buddy. Think of this as an entertaining history lesson of sorts, with a combination of 3D animation from the two rats, to 2D with recurring segments of the lesson, stop motion, and even live action where they actually show footage of an atomic bomb for comedy purposes. Yeah, no wonder this was banned in Japan. It's interesting to see how rats were once respected in certain countries before the plague and infestation, in turn showing how rats are good as pets and are highly intelligible as lab rats. In the end though, it doesn't matter, as a satirical disclaimer disrupts Remy's lesson on how we should stay away from them, ending for comedic effect. There's a bunch of different styles of animation that pop off. Remy and Emil make good teachers. Overall, a nice short. Whoa, wait, look who it is!
So what do you think of my Trump Home mattress collection by Serta?
Oh, they'll never count sheep again.
Another lava-esque feature, although not in song form, but the first with dialogue. Bud Luckey, an animator for Pixar, directed, designed, and voiced all the characters in the short, as well as composing all the music. I guess you can say Bud Luckey was a one-man machine, doing all this by himself. Boundin' is definitely a film that we've come to know from Pixar. With previous shorts being much more comical, Boundin' still has humor, but with a deeper meaning. A sheep lives in this desert, weird little area for a sheep to live, but okay, and dances for his animal friends until a sheep shearer shows up and takes away his luscious wool. Looking like Rufus from Kim Possible, he loses confidence to dance and gets ridiculed by his friends. Then this himbo of a jackalope comes along and teaches the sheep to jump, or I guess bound, in order to boost confidence in order to not feel down. The sheep learns from this, and is okay with his wool growing and being sheared off every year. A nice decent message about embracing the ups and downs of life, all told by a handsome jackalope who I wouldn't mind getting stomped on by his big feet. Bud Luckey was also the voice of Rick from The Incredibles, to which Brad Bird wanted his character to introduce the film with some booze and a banjo, but it never saw the light of day. Oh, did you know that there was a Cars version of this too?
Hey kid, why the mope?
It's the assholes like you that should die, yeah!
With one of the studio's more underrated films in their catalog, this tie-in feature is also one of the best out of the feature-related shorts. Alberto, living in Porto Rosso, writes back to Luca about his tense relationship with now caretaker Massimo, as he barely speaks to Alberto, only with grunts or growls. This makes Alberto feeling more anxious when messing up at his job, feeling he will get fired. When losing fish one day and making Massimo more disappointed, Alberto sneaks out at night and uses their lifeboat to catch more fish, but accidentally catches it on fire when being startled by the family cat.
Meow yourself. The fire's leaking.
With the boat destroyed, Alberto will embarrass himself for his failures, and when Massimo tries to reach out, Al says this.
Just let me go, Dad!
Obviously the highlight of the short. This shows how much Alberto wants a father figure in his life, and with Luca gone to school, Massimo is all he has. Massimo shows how much he cares for the fish boy, and they end up repairing the boat, being more open with each other in the end. A great example of how communication matters to hold a strong bond, and making sure every child feels supported and loved.
Looking for a pet one day. Sanjay found an awful snake.
Mr. Author Avatar over here. Sanjay's super team is loosely based on animator Sanjay Patel's childhood on his conflictions with the modern world and his Hindu traditions with his family. And boy, does that show in this short. Fictional Sanjay is watching a superhero show and sketching out his favorite superheroes until his father turns off the TV and confiscates the superhero toy and forces him to participate in his meditations. While trying to get his toy back, he accidentally extinguishes the lamp and gets transported into this visual temple. This is where the visuals pop off, with the highlights and neon colors show throughout the temple, with the three statue gods coming to life and using their magical powers to defeat the shadow. With the gods almost defeated, Sanjay uses the superhero toy to break the bell's sound barrier, defeating the shadow. Back from the real world, Sanjay's father is disappointed in his lack of caring for the tradition, and returns the remote to Sanjay. One thing I don't care for is the ending, because you'd think Sanjay would learn his lesson and keep praying with his dad, but instead he goes back to watching his show while just showing his dad his sketchbook of the three gods as superheroes. I don't know, man, if I were his dad, I would still be disappointed if my son didn't learn a valuable lesson. At least Sanjay and his dad seem somewhat happy. I don't know. The first ever feature-related short. Mike's new car showed the world what DVD releases can do.
What was wrong with your old car?
3 little words, Sully. 6-wheel drive.
Pretty much just a joyride to watch. It's just Mike and Sully fooling around with Mike's new car, not knowing how anything works in his vehicle. Being locked out of his car, getting stuck in the car engine, that subtle break at the rearview mirror by Sully, is just pure brilliance and a reminder why the dynamic of Mike and Sully just work. Nothing more to be said here, just pure quality fun.
I miss my old car.
All the day long I am blue. All the day long I am so blue.
WALL-E is such a superb masterpiece, and Bernie is a great reminder that this subplot that takes place throughout the film is also pretty great. Just as charming as its feature, Bernie is a service robot who needs to repair one of the ship's running lights. With the shenanigans of WALL-E and Eve taking place outside of space, it makes Bernie's job even harder to repair said light, letting the spire float away, accidentally cutting it in half, and getting locked out by WALL-E and Eve after finishing it. Finally trying to get back inside, the events of the captain and Otto ensues, and Bernie tries to hold on for dear life while the ship goes violently into hyperdrive. After arriving on Earth, the robot finally tries to get the light back online, only for it to be destroyed again.
Fuck this shit.
Boy, this little guy just can't catch a break. A modern version of classic cartoons physical comedy, Bernie offers a stunning and gleeful tale on the frustrations of a robot's one purpose in life.
Hey baby, are you an angel? Cause I'm allergic to feathers.
In my opinion, the best feature-related short here. With non-stop back and forth from the different emotions of each human's mind, you'd think it would get tiresome. Surprisingly, they don't. At the end of production, the writers of Inside Out started writing a short and really liked the boy at the end of the film having a crush on Riley. And since most of the writers were fathers with daughters, it just made sense to put themselves in that situation, saying, just wait till the first boy shows up. So bam, you got a laugh out loud short. Jordan shows up to ask Riley to roller skate with some friends, to which Riley's parents think this is a date. While Riley's mother tries to act all cool around her daughter, Riley's dad has to interrogate Jordan by intimidating him with no prevail. Because, I mean, have you seen Jordan's emotions?
Kid, what's she looking at?
Probably your dumb hat.
In the end, Jordan and Riley's dad actually bond because they were once part of a band, and started jamming out to AC/DC. Look, you all probably saw the meme of the dad saying,
I was in a band.
But trust me, there's more to this short than just that meme.
He's not good enough for Riley. No one is.
Go back to jail!
What are you looking for, Jordan? Something to steal?
Like our daughter.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Let's be honest, whenever you think of Pixar, a desk lamp usually comes to mind, does it? Well, I mean, no, you probably think about their films first, and then probably disgrace John Lasseter second. But the lamp, yes, that definitely comes in third. Luxo Jr. marked his debut as the company's mascot with his 1986 short, proving that the folks at Pixar can bring pretty much anything to life. A very simple plot, Luxo Jr. is having fun playing with one of Pixar's other iconic symbols, the star-shaped ball, until he deflates by jumping on it too hard. After feeling ashamed and walking out of frame, a bigger ball appears with Luxo Jr. being happy, with his dad Luxo Sr. shaking his head with disapproval. So why with a simple premise is it up so high? Well, probably just because of how much of a revolution this was with computer animation as a whole. Modeling his own Luxo lamp, Lasseter worked tirelessly for 4.5 months using the different shadow maps of the rendering software and relying on simplest elements to make the lamp stand out, not rearranging the camera, just letting the lamps do the talking, or I guess, lack of talking. When this was played at the 1986 SIGGRAPH, there was a roar of applause even before the short ended. Like, that's how outstanding this was. It sent shockwaves through the entire industry and created a landmark with game-changing animation, masterful storytelling, and iconic characters. Luxo Jr., you will remain supreme.
Woo! That parrot's got quite the mouth, or beak on him, whatever.
Funny how one of the more hilarious shorts gets tied in with one of Pixar's most hilarious movies, Monsters, Inc. These chubby little birds start sitting on a power line, all while squawking at each other, like they all individually own the place. Yeah, these guys are jerks. You perch on their power line, they'll probably like throw cigarettes at you or something. And that's exactly what the shoebill bird does as he sees his crackheads all hanging out and just wanting to be a part of it. At first, they make fun of his looks and his honk, but soon get annoyed when the shoebill actually lands in the middle of the power line, causing his weight to lower the line, sliding all the birds down with him. And these birds get mad. They start squawking and squealing and start poking at the large bird until he loses balance and hangs on for dear life. Then the birds are like,
let's kill him,
and start pecking at his toes until some of them realize that they're gonna get slingshotted into the air, which, surprise! With the shoebill unharmed, the little birds all start landing all with their feathers gone, totally naked to the public eye. Everything about the short is hilarious, from the little birds just being so grouchy, to this dumb lanky bird who just wants to be friends, to the ending where justice is finally served. I guess birds of a feather do flock together, but without the feathers.
Let's go live to Ollie Williams with the Black U Weather Report. Ollie?
It's raining sideways!
A prime example of Pixar's skills in the technical department. Another short where inanimate objects breathe life, we now see a blue umbrella falling in love with a red umbrella until their owners go their separate ways. Seeing this, many different objects in the city decide to hatch a plan to get this blue umbrella back to the red one to see them happy, which leads to our blue fellow getting battered and bruised. Don't worry, these two end up together after the two owners find him and enjoy each other's company at a cafe. Cue the waterworks if you just felt sad for an umbrella of all things, but that's what makes Pixar stand out. It's a whimsical and somber story of falling in love as the other walks away, which also goes along with a very annoyingly catchy tune to it.
Make it stop!
I cannot get those hums out of my head. I think I'm going insane. I love this environment. The realistic rain-beaten city is just a marvel to the eyes, and with the silly little faces on the objects too, it instantly draws a smile on my face. What a beautiful looking short. Clever, cute, quirky, just magnificent.
The moon haunts you!
Drawing inspirations from the movies of Studio Ghibli, La Luna has the essence of something of a timeless fable or bedtime story you would tell your children. Following 3 generations of men going to a trip to the moon, we see our youngest protagonist, Bambino, trying to follow in his father and grandfather's footsteps, while the other 2 try to influence him on their own personal methods of getting things done, like how to wear your hat properly or what kind of broom to choose. As they reach the moon, a large crater star hits, and Bambino decides to turn his cap backwards and cracks the star into a couple of smaller stars. With this, Bambino gets a rake instead of a broom, showing he is his own person, while helping his fellow older generations. The ending is beautiful, showing the moon now a crescent in the starry Italian sky. A highly imaginative exploration of the moon and one's perspective, it's a wonderful visual that will give anyone such pure bliss when watching.
Mark Anthony, keep your eyes peeled for anything you might want to play with.
Okay, we've seen lamps come to life, umbrellas, a unicycle, this stupid f***ing volcano. Now here's an idea. Take a whole pile of junk in a lost and found box and make it sentient. Well, it looks like you got yourself another cute Pixar character. Lou's sole purpose is cleaning up the school playground and bringing it back to the lost and found, where kids can go and find their missing toys. This all goes well until this kid named JJ shows up and starts tormenting his classmates, stealing all the toys and stashing them in his backpack. When JJ is the last to leave the playground, Lou manages to steal his backpack as this wild goose chase ensues. You gotta admire the animation they give Lou here, as he constantly takes shape in order to avoid JJ. As the chase happens, Lou notices a lost toy in the form of a dog plush belonging to JJ because of the name tag on the dog and JJ's, underwear. Okay Pixar, I'm gonna let this one slide. No more kids' tighty-whities, alright?
Oh, this is bad. This is real bad, bro. This is bad. They trying to Chris Hansen us, bro.
Anyway, in exchange for the dog, Lou makes sure JJ gives back every toy from his classmates. Though, doing it with hesitation, one hug actually changes him to actually feel good about his deed, proceeding him to give away every toy while gaining a few friends along the way. Going for his last trip, JJ finds out that Lou died.
Hell yeah!
No, actually all the parts that formed Lou have all been taken from their respective owners, with only JJ's dog last in the box. Feeling bittersweet, JJ happily takes the dog, while also playing catch with his new friends. Gosh, that ending. If there's one trope I do like, it's the bully turned gentle giant, as we see JJ just being obnoxious over his own bully stealing from him. And after giving away the toys, the kids actually respect him a lot more. And yeah, even though Lou's soul is forever in the abyss, he personifies a perfect lesson for the characters and the viewer as a whole. A bittersweet modern short from Pixar that has both humor and a heartwarming story. It's a tale as old as time. You either were a trumpet Trojan or a violin virgin. One thing Pixar doesn't get a lot of credit for is their musical scores. A chipper tune can leave you feeling like you've got a pep in your step, while a more somber tone can leave you feeling quite sad and depressed. That's okay Pixar, I don't need your melancholy today, I'm already depressed as is.
Oh, boo-hoo!
So, the perfect example to showcase their musical chops is the 2005 short One Man Band. It's pretty straightforward. 2 street performers try to persuade this little girl to give her only gold coin to one of them, trying to outperform the other, until they clash and end up making the girl lose her coin in the sewers. Feeling pretty salty, she ends up taking one of the violins from the street performer, and gets a bag of gold. Taunting the two street performers, she throws 2 coins at the top of the fountain, leaving the 2 despaired. It's a classic formula of 2 people quarreling for the same thing, and ultimately both of them losing in the end.
Can you imagine being one of those flightless birds? What an awful life.
Pixar is known for many things. Photorealism is not one of them. Yet, in 2016, the studio showed what they were capable of with this short. My goodness, what a glorious looking visual. This sandpiper bird is terrified of going near the water, after getting drenched in the tide trying to get food. Thus, the real hero of the short comes in the form of a hermit crab. Teaching the young bird how to collect food, Piper overcomes her fear by burrowing in the sand and seeing tons of food exposed in the water. Piper then becomes the flock's #1 food collector, feeding enough for the flock where they don't have to fend for themselves. A visual masterpiece, something that longtime fans have never seen from the studio before. Actually doing research on the sandpipers in San Francisco, the studio put their craft into making these birds so realistic with the engaging visuals and music. It's no surprise they took home the Oscar for Best Animated Short that year. They clearly deserved it.
Mommy, where do babies come from? A stork. Isn't the baby too heavy? It's a magical stork. That doesn't make sense. Fucking daddy fucked mom.
Kinda funny how this was airing before Up in the theaters, considering both take place in the sky. So, you know how babies are made?
Do you know anything about intercourse?
Don't worry, I'm not talking about the birds and the bees, because that's just a myth. You see, the real answer is the clouds in the sky creating the babies, and they have storks who help deliver them. None of that gross stuff, get that out of here. Partly Cloudy takes on the theory of storks delivering babies, and there's this one gray cloud named Gus who happens to make all the infants of a more, let's just say, chaotic kind. This leads to a stork Peck getting into some dangerous situations, as most of the animals Gus makes tends to harm the poor stork. You got this alligator who bites, a ram who, well, rams into Peck, this cute little porcupine who is definitely not cuddly, but the nail on the coffin is the shark that instantly makes Peck fly away. Feeling betrayed after seeing Peck with a new cloud, Gus gets angry and turns into a huge thundercloud, before crying while having his cloud rain down. All this is a ruse though, as Peck was just getting equipment to keep him safe while traveling, because he still loves Gus and will do anything for the big guy. Too bad that the next baby we see was an eel.
Beware of eels.
Some friendships are worth enduring some pain every once in a while, and it's nice to see Peck and Gus have a strong bond with each other, even if one half is trying to kill the other. Gee, I want Gus to create a blobfish. Imagine having to carry a slimy looking nutsack on your trip.
Visitors are real. Yeah, they abduct people and they mutilate cows. Shut up, you guys. You're just trying to make me scared.
This short probably has 2 things people get anxious about: alien abductions and driver's ed. While that first one may never come true, the second one is especially nerve-wracking. Take it from this alien right here. Our main extraterrestrial, Stu, is taking his alien abduction test, where he tries to abduct this farmer out of his house with no prevail. It also doesn't help that his teacher gives him an expressionless face throughout the short, and Stu has to work with snatching the guy with all these switches. Boy, you've gotta be kidding me. The slapstick here is phenomenal as we see the farmer just bouncing around his house as Stu gets frustrated and just swiping at every toggle. It's even more hilarious when Stu actually gets the human aboard the ship and then instantly drops him accidentally because he didn't close the hatch. Naturally, our MVP teacher over here saves the day by saving the human from breaking every bone in his body, and safely puts him back to bed, still sounding asleep. It's interesting to see how creative an alien abduction can go, as we can all relate to our first times under the wheel. Hence, we feel for this anxious alien. Yet, it's hard not to crack up at his troubling antics, trying to snatch the human onto the ship. Heck, this fellow destroys the human's home, leaving a huge pillar with just the human and his bed on top. Good job, bucko! With a clever setup and hysterical physical comedy, this short from Pixar will make you laugh in hysterics.
Now that's what I call speedy chess.
8 years have passed since Pixar put out their latest short, Knick Knack, back in 1989. And you know, they had a few projects here and there with Disney. You know, not anything major, just big theatrical movies for Disney. Like I said, nothing too major. But real diehard fans wanted the studio to go back to their roots, show the fandom that you still have it in you for short-length films. And that's exactly what Pixar did in 1997 with Jerry's Game. The CGI has significantly been upgraded since their shorts in the 80s, but still had limitations. It's still pretty hard to animate a full-fledged human character, so they bought an in-house computer simulation to mimic the human's movement and clothing, and thus, Jerry's Game was born. Jerry is a lonely old man who enjoys playing a game of chess, but since Jerry has no friends, he plays against himself. Showing two sides of his personality, the version with glasses is more timid and makes several mistakes in moving his pieces around, while the other version, without the glasses, is a lot more confident and aggressive towards the other, being our supposed antagonist since he's also playing with the black chess pieces. The game gets tense as Evil Jerry is able to knock out all of Good Jerry's pieces except for his king. With nothing else to do, as the panic ensues, Good Jerry has a fake heart attack, startling the other. While Evil Jerry tries to look under the table, Good Jerry turns the chessboard around, leaving him with all the other pieces remaining, and considers checkmate on the other. I love the camera work here, as it gaslights you into thinking that there were actually two Jerrys this time, with the fast-paced splits between the two perspectives. The expressions that Jerry gives throughout his role-playing is magnificent, even the whole fake heart attack, where he even gives his bad self a sense of checking if he actually has a heart attack in the first place. This short just manages to be a ton of fun from start to finish, including the reward of some false teeth, with the ending shot being Jerry all by himself at the park smiling. A very charismatic main character, Jerry is a joy to watch. And hey, he even got to cameo in Toy Story 2. Boy, Pixar just really likes shoving in their shorts characters into Toy Story, don't they?
So, how long is this gonna take?
You can't rush art.
In this video, you learn about the mother that eats her children.
It took this long to finally get a female director to host a short, and it's one of their best. Now, I obviously can't relate to a middle-aged Chinese woman with empty nest syndrome, but darn it, that doesn't mean I can't feel. When one of the woman's steamed buns comes to life, she decides to raise him like a child. Going through his growth, the child becomes more distant towards his mom, who wants to hang out with the human kids and ends up getting engaged. Angering the mother, she actually eats the bun in horror.
I am shocked and appalled.
Now, you may think that's the end of the short. Like, what do you do after that horrible incident? Did she learn her lesson? Well, the real tearjerker comes when her actual son shows up. Feeling bad for their sudden tension, the son tries to cheer his mom up with a treat that they once ate and end up having a happy ending, cooking some steamed dumplings. This is one of Pixar's most emotionally exceptional shorts they've ever done. Visually stunning and brimming with such moving encapsulation that has been missing in recent Pixar shorts. And with director Domi Shi putting in her own experiences into the story, makes it more resonating for viewers to enjoy. A culturally significant short, and a perfect example of why Pixar does what they do best.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are the combatant for this extravaganza. Bad Mr. Frosty.
Alright, I can already tell that some people are going to question why this short of all places is so high up on this ranking. Heck, even in the top 3. And to be honest, this is just personal nostalgia and enjoyment that I have. I remember actually seeing this in theaters before Finding Nemo and was amazed at the simple geometrical designs of all the characters, the relaxing and fun music, the visual gags, just everything. And it still stuck with me after all these years. Look, personal bias aside, I still do believe that this would be in the top 10 anyway, but darn it if I'm not going to stick up for this beautiful snowman. Nick, our Frosty protagonist, wants to get out of his snow globe and enjoy his company with all the other knickknacks on the bookshelf, including this plastic girl in a bikini. Several attempts are given to Nick to get out of his snow globe, but every plan backfires on him. His last attempt to blow up his home causes him to fall over the edge of the bookshelf. While falling, he sees an emergency exit on the bottom of the globe and escapes, landing in a fishbowl. Seeing a new lady in the bowl, this time a mermaid, Nick gets smitten and ready to make a move, until the snow globe comes floating down and traps Nick back inside, much to his dismay. Look man, can't I just enjoy a simple and funny short about this grumpy snowman trying to get some action? I also have to admire the other knickknacks on the shelf as well. This flamingo bobbing his head, this cool looking skeleton, these two palm trees. Heck, this one palm tree is just in his own little groove as the others watch Nick fall off the shelf. And the music is just so bubbly and it fits the tone too. It was tailor-made for a hilarious short like this. And it was all done by Bobby McFerrin, the guy who did the Don't Worry Be Happy song. This short is just all vibes, and my personal bias would probably put it at number 1 just for the style alone, but I have to be fair and push it back just slightly for the purpose of this ranking. Oh, and the remastered versions show the ladies without the huge breasts, which is a good call. Really shows Lasseter's horniness back in the days.
Would you like to see a magic trick?
No! Demonstrating some of the most energetic animation you'll ever see in a Pixar short. Through a simple concept of a magician pulling a rabbit out of the hat, this time the rabbit gets revenge when not having his carrot first. This whole short feels like something out of Looney Tunes, where the physical comedy just oozes out Bugs Bunny. The many different ideas the magician does to get the rabbit to come out of his hat, only to backfire, is just hilarious. The degree of humiliation gets to the entertainer, and proceeds to grab the rabbit, with the furry guy being one step ahead of him every time. The audience thinks this is all part of the act though, and they're loving it.
And I'm loving it.
Things get out of hand though, as the magician soon falls from a rope with a bunch of props, including a piano, follows. The rabbit decides to grab the magician out from the hat and land safely from the props, leading to a loud applause from the audience. The magician and rabbit come to an agreement, and the rabbit finally gets his carrot. Very fast paced, there are so many jokes that just land, even on a second or third watching. It's a hilarious curtain raiser and closer, and every second here is a standout moment. A winner through and through, and definitely deserves to be praised as one of Pixar's best.
The winner is...
Day and night.
There's something to be said about this masterpiece. The very concept alone is enough to give it an award. And combining 3D and 2D animation to the mix, it is unlike anything Pixar has done before. Representing the certain times of day are our two characters, two drawn out cartoons that inside of their bodies are three-dimensional landscapes. Any way these two show through actions and emotions happen throughout their bodies, like when day wakes up with birds flying, or sheeps jumping with night. When day crosses paths with night, the two seem to not like each other all that much, considering their times of day clash with the environments around them. This leads to an altercation between the two, as they both fight and the landscapes inside them start forming into negative things. However, this soon stops as they soon realize the events that occur throughout the day are something to be wondered by, and both becomes fascinated in what the other can do. Like when Day has a huge pool party, and Night can show drive-in movies. I especially like this part where Night shows the vibrant colors of the casino. But the big impact is when they come across the satellite tower as a voice recording of Dr. Wayne Dyer comes into place.
Loaded with prejudices, not based upon anything in reality, but based on if something is new, I reject it immediately because it's frightening to me.
Knowing how this plays out, it tells the audience that the mysterious is yet to be unknown, but that's nothing that we should fear about. It's just a beautiful thing that we need to experience. As this message ends, the times of day shift as we see the dusk till dawn moment, and day and night switch each other's perspectives and enjoy what the other can bring. Pixar will always be famous for their 3D animation, but they made something groundbreaking for the ages. The contrasting styles of animation are on full display, and it's such a beauty on the eyes. This is what pushing the boundaries of animation is all about, and still crafts a powerful message about the beauty between the day and the night sky, and all of the wonders surrounding it. I think this short is the epitome of what makes Pixar stand out not only as an animation studio, but as a technical, explorative, and story-driven project that wanted to exceed expectations in the works of computer animation. And that was all of Pixar shorts in a nutshell. Not all of them are standouts, but each of them shows a little achievement in Pixar's prowess of great animation and entertaining stories that will be appreciated upon decades to come. From the very humble beginnings of what Pixar would do with basic shapes and form them out with groundbreaking styles, to what the studio is doing now with more emotional stories from dozens of people from around the world. This is why so many people resonate with Pixar's extensive career as an animation giant, and will continue to give out tons of thoughtful and provoking projects in the future. But what do you think? Do you agree with this ranking? What's your favorite short from Pixar? I would love to know in the comments.